Gloria Strode and welcome to Straightforward. We are having another visit with Dr. Jadah Rhymes. And I just wanted her to share, just based on my personal experience, Dr. Jadah, what we need to do for our caregivers. For those of us that have had loved ones with terminal illnesses, or we have elderly parents. And, of course, our father lived to be 92 years old, and he was in his right mind. We didn't have Alzheimer's, any of that. No, he was running things the day that he moved from work to reward. But what you don't realize as a caregiver, that you are many days just running on adrenaline, and you're not really taking care of yourself because you are putting the needs of the loved one ahead of yourself. And then what happens when it's all over, get to the end and the caregiver is sick or broken down. Or I've seen the caregivers die before the person they were taking care of. Yeah, so how do we address that? And then the mental health part, that's something I want us to talk about in one of the segments here today too, about women, men. Women and men both suffer from depression. We handle things differently. But I know a lot of women trying to be the wife, the mother, the daughter, trying to be every woman, sometimes overwhelmed and not even know you're depressed. Right. So share with us on those.
So I guess I'll speak first to caregivers. We love our parents, we love our loved ones, and we want to be there to provide them that care in those times of need. A lot of times it's during those end stages of their lives.
Yes.
You want to be there for them. You want to be there to share those moments with them, to create those memories. And that's completely understandable. But what needs to happen is you have to take care of yourself. You cannot completely neglect yourself. Saying that to say, mental health days where you actually get a break. I don't know if it's some other sibling that could come in on a day out of the week to give you a break, or if it's church members, someone in the community, but just figure out what your support system is. A lot of times, once you decide that you are going to be the primary caregiver of someone who's chronically ill and most likely at their end stage of life, you need to get your support system together. No one can do that alone. And so
no one can do that alone. And we should be asking, I have to go back to this, I don't mean any harm. If we can't get the siblings, because not all siblings are willing to make, unfortunately, the adjustments in their lives and careers to make that sacrifice. But the church members, and I have to circle around this. Growing up as a church person, the missionary society in the old days, they would go to the sick and the shut in. Of course, I don't know, haven't seen that lately. There might be some out there that's doing that, but I haven't seen a lot of that. And if people were sick, they went and they cooked and they cleaned. I mean, and they did it regular. No, we're not being paid for it. But that was a part of that mission circle. I recall that from a child. So when you say your church members, we might not necessarily have the old traditional missionary society, but you might have someone that you serve with in the church.
Correct.
Right, that can come and be a support.
Correct. Someone that can maybe step in for a couple of hours so that you can get a couple of hours break outside of the house, because a lot of times you'll find yourself in these routines and you're stuck inside the house. And so you really need,
it's like on cruise control. It's just like the car. It's the same thing every day, just pressing the button and just doing it over and over.
So not necessarily them coming in, taking over, doing any of those major tasks, but just a few hours so that you can have some time for yourself, run some errands, and just get outside to see the sunshine.
See, those are just small things, and I get frustrated with that, because I have seen very large families, and it seems like the person propped everybody up And then once the person had a chronic illness, because chronic means long-term, right? And acute means
it's something
current, right?
Something current.
But if we're on a chronic, we know that's a long path, is what I'm saying, for just so the people that's watching,
Yes.
right, that's never been sick, because there's a lot of people that's never been sick. So no, really, until lately, my husband was never had an illness, so it's really hard dealing with him, which you probably already know that because you're his doctor, because in his mind, he was never sick. But anyway, yeah, we have to, even if it's that couple of hours,
Yes.
you know, because some folks don't want to be inconvenienced, but if someone could just come, like you said, give the person the opportunity to, maybe they can go into the nail place, or maybe they can just go sit in the park and play some music so they can decompress, you know.
And then that's how we pick up on the mental health aspect for caregivers. You
Mhm.
have to be able to get those breaks. You need to be able to decompress and just do some of those self-care.
Self-care things. So that's how, when we get to the end and people don't have that support system, then they start having a lot of medical, you know, things, and it's things that didn't exist at first, you know, because they're just worn out. Yeah, I actually saw that with another family member, and she was a primary person, and by the time we got to the funeral part, of course, you know, her dad lived to be, you know, a full life. She was sitting in the chair asleep. She didn't even know she was asleep. No, just dozed off because she had been on that routine for so long. So as your friends, we need to be paying attention. And I said friends now. I didn't say frenemies or pretend friends, because your real friends will step in and give you a break. Correct. And won't be looking for anything in return, because everything you don't have to get paid for. We should be willing to help each other out. No, really, because I do know some people that, yeah, it's like, but then they're expecting, and we shouldn't be expecting. No, we should, especially if we have church members. But I'm going to let that rest right there. So anyway, no, really, because if people have served, and I've seen this, a lot of the elderly people have served all their lives. So somebody should be willing, you know, to come by like the old days. Maybe not the mission circle, they're not going to wash the clothes and cook, but somebody should be willing to come by. We agree on that? Okay, all right. Well, what we're going to do now, go to our first break to our sponsors, and we'll be right back. We'll be right back after word from some of our sponsors. Straightforward is brought to you by State Senator Ed Harbison, serving the citizens of Georgia's 15th Senatorial District and on the front lines for veterans every day. Progressive Funeral Home, family owned and operated since 1952. The George Ford legacy of high standards continues today in the compassionate and professional services provided, a touch of dignity for those who care. Progressive Funeral Home, 4235 St. Mary's Road, trusted by generations. The Columbus Memory Center, 7196 North Lake Drive, Suite A, Columbus. Dr. Jonathan Liss is a board-certified neurologist and sleep specialist committed to battling Alzheimer's by preserving independence, offering you the opportunity to get your memory number for free, the only vital sign for brain health. Call today at 706-327-4000 or visit columbusmemorycenter.com. And welcome back to Straightforward. I'm continuing this wonderful conversation with the fabulous Dr. Jadah Rhymes. Dr. Rhymes, we were talking about caregivers before we went to the break, and that's a very, very important topic, and particularly in the African American community. You know, sometimes we have family members that don't have resources where they can actually hire someone, you know, and then we got to try to figure out who can do what to help the person. And so that's something that you're saying we need to be discussing that in advance as our parents are getting older. Get a plan. And if they live somewhere else, if you can't be the person on duty every day, then you can take your vacation and then come and give the primary caregiver a break, even if you live in another state. just so that person can take some time to decompress.
Absolutely.
That's an option.
That is an option, for sure.
Yeah.
And additionally, you know, being a caregiver can be stressful. And there are a lot of emotional aspects that you're dealing with. Caring for someone who was previously your rock.
Yes.
And seeing them at their most vulnerable state
Yes.
at the end of their life. And so you're in a position to where you really need to check in. Someone needs to be checking in on the caregivers, and the caregivers need to be aware that if for any reason they're not doing okay, it's getting to be too much, they need to be reaching out to someone. And as a primary caregiver, what I try to do is I try to just check in with my patients and ask them, how are they dealing with their daily stressors? Are you getting any sleep?
Sleep makes a difference, because if you don't sleep, you have poor coping skills. I'm speaking for myself. And so if you've had rough nights with those that are chronically ill, and you have to get up the next day and try to function, and then people say, well, she was short or she was rude. Well, you running on adrenaline, you had, 45 minutes of sleep. You're really just doing the best you can. So I like that you say you've asked them to let you know, reach out, because it might be something you can do, to help them through. But I just wanted to say, because I've seen this over and over in many families, folks that even live out of town can still take their turn. Instead of taking their vacation, going to the islands, they can take their vacation and go where their family member is, the rock. The rock. Because see, it was my pleasure to take care of my father, who had been my rock. And it was hard for him, who had been so independent for so long. And and sometimes he would be mean because he was so independent. But then you have to know that, and then, be able to work through that as well, knowing that it really don't mean any harm. It's just, it's hard for them as it is for the caregiver. Right. So I want us to move on to mental health for young women and for older women. I know we hear a lot in the news about the young women and the postpartum depression. That is real. It causes a lot of strange dynamics sometimes in families. But then on the backside, we have women in the menopause, like my group, where there are a lot of life changes too. Right. So what's your best advice? Oh, both ends of that spectrum. So you're on that end and I'm on this end. So
if you don't mind, I like to add one ahead of the postpartum.
Okay, go ahead.
And that's adolescent.
Yes, our kids are depressed.
Yes, they are.
Yes.
And so we are, suicide is now one of the top causes of death in our young people.
Yes.
And we really need to try to wrap our heads around and wrap our arms around our young people. And so one thing that we need to be aware of is the screen time and the social media and just making sure that
and the bullying
and so you just need to make sure that you're checking in with your kids and that they're not spending excessive amounts on the screens outside of doing schoolwork. A lot of schoolwork is still
it's not necessarily to be on TikTok, Snapchat, all of that nonstop. Everybody's trying to be an Instagram star.
Correct.
Right. That needs to be monitored.
Exactly. And also, letting them know that the things that they see on social media aren't always necessarily 100% true. It's very skewed. And so these body images that these young girls are seeing and they're trying to become, a lot of times, they're trying to chase these very unrealistic body images. And so they also need to just be counseled and just reassure them that you are enough.
Exactly.
You're enough.
Right.
And that definitely needs to be reinforced to our young girls. And as far as postpartum depression, which is a very serious disease that gets overlooked a lot.
Yes.
I think one of them is the fact that a lot of women, they try to push through. They are dealing with some of it, but they're just going, and they're pushing through it.
And not addressing,
correct,
right, the matter, the issue.
the issue. And so the OBGYNs, they're really good at screening for the depression, but if for any reason you're just feeling overwhelmed, you just feel like this is a bit too much, make sure you talk to someone about it.
Right, because I've seen in the news, and in my other life I was a social worker, we sometimes have child abuse. We've seen new mothers kill the babies. God forbid, we don't want that. But there are warning signs. And if people are, you know, one gentleman said on a show that I watched, he went to work and he thought everything was fine. And then she just took her life and all the children. And I was like, well, he had to pay attention to something. Of course, we know men don't listen well even on a good day, but when you just had a new child and everything, everything just can't be as it always was daily. Because moms, we try to be super moms, but sometimes we need some help. And we don't know how to ask for it.
I think one thing that happens as far as new babies, you tend to get more help when it's time for a new baby to come.
Right.
You know,
right.
And so you do have a little bit more of a support system during that particular period of your life.
Right.
And with that being said, I think most women are able to cope a little bit better. In that.
But then when the new wears off, and then it's the regular daily routine, that's where the struggle is.
And then you have the stress of trying to get all of the tasks that pertains to you, the whole household, and the baby done. That can be very stressful.
Right.
And so you just need to talk to someone who's just feeling overwhelmed and you're having these thoughts of harming yourself or anybody else.
All right, well, that's good advice. What we're going to do now, go to our break to our sponsors, and we'll be right back. We'll be right back after word from some of our sponsors. Apple Tax Services for the best in tax preparation. 7413 Whitesville Road, Columbus. Call for your appointment today at 706-243-2590 or 706-243-2595. And remember, an apple a day keeps the audits away. The law offices of Siobhan S. Thomas and Associates, 201 9th Street in Uptown Columbus, 706-350-7232. A veteran-owned law firm dedicated to equal rights and justice for all. Make Siobhan S. Thomas and Associates your first choice for legal services. Visit SiobhanThomas.com. The Miley Agency, 4903 Armour Road. Gerald L. Miley and William Ripsinger have been providing comprehensive reviews and insuring families in Georgia and Alabama for more than 50 years. The Miley Agency will work non-stop to find you the best policy at the best price. You can rest assured that your information is secure, confidential, and protected. Call today at 706-996-2045. Welcome back to Straightforward. I'm enjoying this wonderful visit with our amazing new family doctor, Dr. Jadah Rhymes. I tell you, you're just like a cool breeze. No, and not just here in the office. I've, attended community events with you, and that's just how you are. Approachable, humble, knowledgeable, caring. This is not a check the box. This is not about trying to make enough money so you can buy a French villa or something like that. No, but you really have a heart for people. And I know it comes from the good upbringing. I've had the pleasure of meeting your mother, who is grounded, solid, my kind of girl. She's a mature girl like me. So I want to have that conversation because it's important that as we have raised our children, we've given, we're the grandmothers. People think we the gift that can just keep on giving. And sometimes it's a lot. It really is, and then for those that are still blessed to have parents, even though they're senior citizens, and I do know some where their parents are still living, we have highs and lows. We really do. And especially when we add the menopause on there, which I don't have a problem with that other than the hot flashes. So you see in between, we have the fan for a reason. Even at church, I'm probably the only person in the wintertime that has a fan, but that's okay. But those things we need to talk about, those things as well. And especially in the African American community, they think that we can just carry the weight of the world forever. And you know that. You've seen it. Yeah. So what about us, the mature girls, like me and your mother?
So what I would say is you probably need to check in to make sure that, okay, now that your nest is empty.
Yes, the nest is empty.
And maybe a couple of things that was put on the shelf or to a back burner while you were raising your children. Go back and re-explore some of those things. Go back and rediscover your hobbies. The other thing I would say is have a retirement plan where you figure out what you're going to be doing after you retire.
Okay.
Because we are so quick to say, I can't wait to retire, I can't wait to retire. But okay, you're still pretty vital.
Right.
Right. It's not time for you to sit home and do nothing.
Exactly.
So you need to, rediscover your hobbies. What are some of those hobbies? And maybe can you transition that hobby into your post-retirement plan?
See, that is the confirmation that I need. So now I just need for you to get me a big studio like ABC or CNN or MSNBC. No, really. And then just take those things. So that's the confirmation. And you and I never had this conversation.
We never had that conversation.
And that's the thing I try to explain to my husband. I was like, all of the things that I've done over the years, then if I can just take that now that I'm not the full-time mom, yes, a 40-something year wife, but all of those years of traveling and being the background to the foreground because we were on a mission.
Correct.
But now it's me time. Yep. So if I want to go to Dubai, then buy the ticket. Look, I was on the team when we were having hamburger helper. We're past that now. So if we can do this, we can do this. But no, I say that, just in fun, but the reason we made all those sacrifices is to get the family to this place.
Correct.
And now we're at this place. We can go back and explore those things we put on the shelf. And if it's something that's doable, we take all of those skills, whatever it is. I have friends that are wonderful cooks. I don't like to cook. It's a chore. I know how to cook. I always cooked because that was a part of my role as the team, because we were trying to live in a budget and have a home and, and do all those things as young couples do, like you building a practice, building a business. But now we're at a different stage. We can go get the senior citizen meal, but I have friends that like to cook. That's their hobby. You follow what I'm saying? And not only do they cook, they're catering for people. And that's great. That's not what my gift is. So if I want to go to the south of France with you and we do a show with the women there, we have to find somebody to finance that for us. But there's nothing wrong with that. Right. Even though it might be something that someone else don't see the value in. That's what my point is. Somebody might want to go and start painting. They probably could paint it real good in high school. I've seen people that had great gifts. I have another friend that's a great-grandmother, was a wonderful designer. She has some of the best fashion shows in this town. And I keep telling her we didn't go to Paris because she got distracted. She's a widow now. We can get undistracted, right? Because we're still, what you said, viable? Vital. Okay. I just want to make sure. I want the doctor to speak it into the record.
It's still vital.
Okay.
And so I would say this is a time to not reflect on what you don't have or what you have not done, but actually think about it as what you still have the opportunity.
Okay, it's never too late.
It's never too late.
It's never too late. And I know that on one of the shows, Mika Brzezinski, they have for women over 50, and then they were in the on the other side of the country, the world.
Yeah.
And they were honoring those women that were still doing things at 70 and 80, even 90. So it's never too late to be who you could have been.
Exactly.
As long as you're willing to get up every day and just do it. All right, so before we run out of time, let's give them your address again, your office hours, and your phone number.
Okay. So we are located at 1338 13th
And this is
Avenue.
Whole Patient Health Care, okay?
And that phone number is 706-641-2080. We are here Monday through Friday,
Okay,
8 a.m. through 5 p.m.
okay. And they can call and get an appointment. Your
Yes.
staff will check and see what insurances. We're here in Columbus, but we take people from Alabama.
We do.
And even though we're in Columbus, Muscogee County, we'll take people from all the surrounding counties.
Yes, we currently have patients from multiple surrounding counties as well as Alabama.
Okay. Well, I want to thank you so much for taking this time with me. You are such a pleasure. I mean, so approachable, so knowledgeable, so friendly. And so we just got to make sure that we load this place up so so your husband, can stay on board with you with this new practice. And we wish you much success. Thank you so much. All right. This has been straightforward. If you don't stand for something, you will fall for anything. Until next time, be blessed.
What up, world? What's up, Columbus? Be sure to tune in every Sunday, Straightforward with Gloria Strode, right here on NBC 38.